Spring has sprung, so here's 7 great whiskeys for the season of new beginnings. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So, I don't know about you, but right around me in the Cincinnati area, there is new life springing up all around us. The leaves are coming back, things are turning green, the sun's coming out for longer and longer, and it's just a glorious time to be alive, and it's a great time to sip on some whiskey. So wanted to put together a list for all of you of the best kind of whiskeys I've got in my collection or that I've tasted that I think just really fit this season. What does that really mean? To me, it means that you want something that's a little bit more lively, fresh, maybe fruity, easy to sip on, not quite so rich, dark, heavy, or hot that you kind of reserve those sippers for the winter or fall months. So let's get into the list now with our 7 whiskeys. First on the list is an absolute classic, but one that just fits that spring flavor profile so well, and that is Buffalo Trace Bourbon. Full of grape, cherry, vanilla, brown sugar, some honey. It's very easy to sip on, 90 proof, and available for around $25 when you do see it. It is just a classic quintessential bourbon that leans in that more fruity, light direction like most of Buffalo Trace does, so just a classic staple for these spring months. All right, next on the list, I've got a really interesting one. Brings a little bit of rye to the table and a little bit of bourbon, and that is Redwood Empire's Lost Monarch. So this is a River Rye, a blend of bourbon and rye in the mash bill, and man, it's such good stuff. There's like citrus quality here, really like a strong pear note, some light brown sugar, some honey, a little bit of orange, just kind of zesty and poppy, which I love for that springtime feel. And it's not that high proof. I believe it's only 90 proof as well. So very easy to sip on, available for usually around $35 to $40 when you can see it. So a great bottle, and just also always got to acknowledge the beautiful presentation Redwood Empire puts together. This one just screams spring to me. Next on our list is one that is a newcomer to the scene, but has really impressed me since I was able to pick it up, and that is River Rye. I get so much apple and cherry on this that it's a little bit insane. It's just a really nice 95.5 rye, so you're really into that rye category now, and I think that brings so much more of those citrus fruity qualities. In fact, I would say overall springtime is probably my favorite time to be sipping on rye whiskey, so Green River certainly deserves a spot on this list. This is usually available for around $35, and it is also 95 proof, so again, not going to overwhelm your palate at all. Speaking of newcomers, the next one on our list is basically just as new as this Green River Rye, and that is Barrel Foundation. So I just got this bottle recently, opened it up, have had a couple of pours. It's actually what I've got poured up today, and man, it's impressing me. Available for around $60. This one comes in at 100 proof. It's a blend of different things that all kind of equate to somewhere in that 5 to 9-year-old range. So got a good mix of slightly youthful but darker flavors too. For me, just giving it a nose right now, yeah, you get this floral quality, some honey, but then there's like caramel and brown sugar underneath it, strong cherry, and then maybe something like a lemon or a melon, some sort of citrus pop in there. All right, let's give it a taste. Cheers. Yeah, the palate brings a lot of what the nose had, that honey, citrus quality, some floral essence, but it is spicier. It brings a ton of rye kick and a little bit drying on the back end, but actually in a good spicy kind of way. So this one just really speaks of spring to me, and it's a great time to be sipping on Barrel Foundation. All right, well, the next on my list continues a trend we've set here, which is newer products. For some reason, a lot of things I've picked up lately are just really hitting me this spring, and that is new Riff 8-year-old bourbon. So one of the more recent additions to my collection as well. It has this great black cherry vanilla core to it that I have been loving. Maybe one of my favorite products from New Riff. I've got a couple of special older 8-year-old products from them, but at 100 proof, this one just really gives you that easy sipping quality, which is just awesome. 8 years old, it's got some of those darker, rich notes, but some of those lighter poppy notes. I think this one has, yeah, it's 30% rye in the mash bill, so it's got plenty of that spice as well. And I am just loving it this spring. All right, we're into our last 2 bottles on this particular list. They are the ones that kind of step it up a notch, and if you're looking for something really, really nice to sip on during these spring months, these are the ones I would recommend. Before we get to them, I do want to say, if you're enjoying all the content coming out of the channel, would love to have you aboard as a subscriber for the rest of 2024 and beyond. Planning to release a lot more great content. While you're at it, hit the like button on this video, and then comment down below. Would love to hear what you guys are sipping on this spring and what you consider your favorite kind of spring, ryes, bourbons, whiskeys in general. All right, let's get to our last 2 bottles. The first of which just has those fruit notes in spades, and that is J Bomman Single Barrel. This one is full of like green apple, cherry, even some grape. It is Buffalo Trace distillate that's shipped out to A. Smith Bowman Distilling in Virginia. And so it kind of shares a little bit with this first one, Buffalo Trace bourbon. And I just really, really like it. It's especially more unique as a single barrel. Proof point here is 100 proof, so steps it up a little bit from that Buffalo Trace. Age range, it's not disclosed, but I've heard as high as 9 or 10 years old on some of these, so that's pretty awesome. It's just a really nice, fruity, bright profile that fits spring so well. And if you're asking me, it could probably take down a lot of the Buffalo Trace products I've tasted in my whiskey journey so far. Okay, let's get to our last bottle. Probably the more special option on this list, definitely steps it up in price, and that is Four Roses Single Barrel Barrel Strength. So for me, Four Roses just kind of meets that springtime feel a lot of the time. They've got a higher rye mash bill and a lower rye mash bill that's still pretty high rye. So if you're looking for a great option, I think this single barrel barrel strength really turns it up a notch, gives you full force, full flavor, but almost always there's like rich fruit notes, some spice. This one in particular is OESQ, which is rye mash bill with floral essence, their yeast strain that yields kind of that floral quality. And man, it is really, really nice. Bunch of honey on this one for me, which just I'm loving during the springtime. All right, everybody, that is my list. These are 7 whiskeys that I think are great to sip on during the springtime months. There's kind of a trend here of some newer products, but also higher rye, mixing that in, and just rye whiskey in general. So would love to hear, do you like sipping on ryes during spring? What do you sort of tend toward? Again, let's start a conversation in the comments below. Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey, have a wonderful spring, and cheers.